Hi and welcome back. So in this video we're going to be looking at converting that £115.00 string into a number that we can compare and see if it's a low price or a high price. The first thing to do, however, is to make sure that instead of printing the text contents, that we are assigning them to a variable. So I'm going to create a variable called string price that is going to be the essentially £115.00. This is what this string price contains. And now we want to remove the pound sign. So we want to essentially get that without the pound sign. And we can do something that's called slicing. And slicing is used to get essentially a slice of a string. So what I'm going to create here is price without symbol, and this variable is going to be the string price with this opening square bracket colon closing square bracket at the end. And what this would do is it would give this variable exactly the same contents as this variable up here. So right now this would also be 115.00, which obviously is not what we want. So what does this mean? What is this doing? And why not just leave it as that, right? Well, what this is doing is it's copying. It's getting everything from the start of this string to the end of this string, and it's putting everything inside this other string. Why not just do this? And the answer to that is, if we just do that, what we're doing is saying this string now is exactly equal to this one, which means that Python does some optimization in terms of memory and things like that. Nothing that we're going to get into. So if you want to copy a string and have an exactly new string, then I would recommend that you would stick to this just for the time being, and we will get into exactly what that means in a later section. But we won't be doing this in this section. We are using this for a reason, which is that we want to get all of the string except for the very first item. Remember that counting starts at index 0 in programming, so therefore this is in fact going from 0 to the end, which means it's getting index 0, index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what we want to do is, instead of start at 0, we want to start at 1. And then we'll start at this index here and go to the very end. And that's what we'll do indeed. So now if we print the price without symbol and we run this app, we will get in fact only 115.00. However, this is still not a number. This is still a string, so we have to convert it into a number. If we do int, then we will get an error because this has 0.00 at the end. So what we want to do instead of int is float. And a float is simply another type of data that is a number with a floating point element to it. So this is a floating point number, which is why it's called a float. And now when we do that and we run this again, we will get 115.0. The second 0 gets dropped because it doesn't really add any more accuracy to the number. And now we can compare this and see if it is greater than 500 or less than, or whatever it is that our budget is. So for example, say if we can spend £200, we can print whether the price without the symbol converted into a float is less than £200 or not. So we press run again. We'll get the word true coming out, which is excellent. Before continuing, let's create another variable that will be the price, now as a float. And then we can make some sort of if statement. If the price is less than a certain number, which is your budget, print that you should buy the chair. If it is not, say that you shouldn't buy it. I'll let you do that, so pause the video and attempt to do this by yourselves. Once you have, press resume and we'll go through it ourselves. Okay, so hopefully you've managed, if price is less than 200, we'll print buy the chair. And if it is not, print do not buy, it's too expensive. Okay, so that's great. If we run this, it should tell us to buy the chair. And indeed it does. We can print something else as well. The current price is format price. Like that. And we can press play. And it tells us the current price is 115.0. Now, instead of using the price float, we can just use string price from above, which will give us indeed the formatted price, which may be better for this purpose. Okay, so this is how you would do this if-else statement here, and this is how you would parse the HTML content of a page to find something that you're interested in, and also how you would do requests. So this is our simple app to get the price of the chair, and in the very next section things are going to start to get interesting as we dive into object-oriented programming and doing things like that with Python. That is going to greatly increase the sort of complexity we can put into our applications, and therefore how amazing our applications are going to be. So I'll be seeing you in the next video.